love Mr. Styles to be singing in the background. Thank you, my love. Oh, yeah, go for it. Sorry, no, you're good. All right, guys, we're going to get started. All right, it's the last meeting. Woo! I know y'all are so sad. So sad. That's why. All right, sounds good. Well, welcome to the 7th meeting of the 2021-2022 Undergraduate Student Senate at Virginia Tech. It is April 26, 2022. Okay, cool. On today's order of business, I feel like it's my computer again. We have the adoption of the agenda, the adoption of previous minutes. We have a guest speaker today. Old business, we have the budget approval. New business, we're going to go over the resolution that was sent out. Cabinet reports, director reports, university governance reports, advisor reports, public forum, and adjournment. All right, is there a motion on the floor at the time to adopt the agenda? Any seconds? Beautiful. Is there any opposition? Cool. All righty. We're going to move forward. So the previous minutes were sent out ahead of time, so they will not be read aloud. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on. So the guest speaker today is Maya. Where is she? Hey. All right. She is the director of Hokie Vote Caucus. I want to make sure I got that right for you. So if you want to come up here. Oh, I didn't hit the gavel.
I was told to keep my computer away from the microphone, so, okay. I wonder what...
In the meantime, anybody wants to go around and say how they're feeling while they fix this? Say what? How they're feeling. Oh, you feel what?
I'm feeling good, Ari. Thank you.
Of course. Oh, this is kind of to get to know us. Princess, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm feeling sad because Senator Kyle, this one right here, he says he doesn't want to be my friend.
Senator Kyle.
It's still blinking.
Defend yourself.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay. Like Caroline said, I'm Maya Mehdi. I'm the director of Hokie's Vote Caucus, and I'm here to talk to you all today about voting and civic engagement at Virginia Tech, what it looks like, what we do at Hokie's Vote Caucus, and how USS can be involved. So first off, what is Hokie's Vote Caucus? We are a brand new organization at Tech, so a lot of the struggle is just getting people to know who we are. And basically, who we are is a nonpartisan voting rights and civic engagement group at VT Engage, the Center for Leadership and Service Learning. Our goal is really to institutionalize voter and civic engagement at Virginia Tech and make it a part of the culture here and also the experience of being a student. So really what that means, civic engagement is a big daunting word, I think, but really what it is any action that you or your friends take or your community takes to improve the lives of the people in your community in any way you know how. So that's community service, that's voting, that's any way of being involved in our community here at Virginia Tech and beyond. So first, what I wanted to talk about is what is the voting landscape at Virginia Tech right now? Are students voting at all? Do they know how to vote, et cetera? And the great thing is Virginia Tech participates in the National Study of Voting, Learning, and Civic Engagement, or NSOLV. And so every 4 years we get a report that tells us our voter registration, voter turnout numbers, and it breaks it down by major and by age. And we are currently working to try to get the university to release demographic information so we can also get it broken down by sex and race and ethnicity. So this is information from our most recent report, so from 2016 to 2020. So since 2016, we've seen a 20% increase in early voting and a 19% increase in absentee voting. And I wanted to talk about this because it's really telling about how COVID changed our lives, but it also made voting a lot easier for a lot of people, and it's really obvious in these numbers. And in 2020, our country had the highest voter turnout rate ever in our history, which is great. And we really started Hokies Vote Caucus to keep that momentum going. And it's clear that students are using these alternative voting methods because voting on election day is pretty difficult when you're a student. But it's really great. Our numbers are really awesome. So we have a voting rate of 73%, which is higher than the average of all institutions for 2020. But it's also really great for us because that was a 15% increase from 2016, which is a massive jump if you're not familiar with numbers. But we can see also with these little, oh, my mouse to show. Okay, so if you look here at our voter registration rate, it's really high. So that's not really our problem here at Virginia Tech. We do have a problem getting students to actually go out and vote, even though all the legislation passed, in 2020 to make voting easier has paid off. We can still see that in 2018, we have pretty low voter turnout rates. It's less than half of the turnout rate for presidential years. And so that's another thing that Hokies Vote Caucus is really trying to increase awareness about, is that in Virginia, we have elections every single year. So we had a governor's election in 2021, and we don't have the numbers for that, and even if we did, it would only be representative of Virginia voters. So we like the NSOLV report because it encompasses all Virginia Tech voters. But it's really promising to see these high numbers, and we see that a lot of students who are registered do turn out to vote, about 80.4%. But again, like I said, during midterm elections, students don't really turn out to vote, even though those elections are just as important, and maybe you could argue even more important than presidential elections. So part of our goal is to raise awareness about midterm elections, what they are, to get students to feel like they actually are important and that their voices matter, so hopefully that they turn out to vote in November. So I talked a lot. And I'm tired, but I will continue because I want to tell you guys about the stuff that Hokies Vote Caucus has been doing in our first year. We're a group of 10 students, all really passionate about making voting more accessible to students and also getting students engaged in other ways beyond voting. So I have some pictures of the stuff that we do. We do a lot of tabling and harassment of people on the street to get them to register to vote, and also to get them to register for their absentee ballot. We find that's a way that students really like to vote, but they just forget to order theirs or they don't know how to do it, and that's what we're there for. We use this really great website called vote411.org, and it's run by the League of Women Voters, which is also a nonpartisan national voting rights organization. And you can check your polling place, you can find out who's up for election in the upcoming election, and you can also get really great nonpartisan information about the candidates, which is extremely rare in these days. So we like to tell students to use that resource. And this is just some more pictures. A really great event that we had, we did partner with VT Dining Services to have the grill field on the drill field, and we did some voter registration, so just some fun, like light engagement stuff. But even more than that, we host something called deliberative dialogues, which aim to bring people from different viewpoints together in a room to have respectful and productive conversation that hopefully builds understanding between people. When I tell people I do this type of like voting and civic engagement, semi-political work, they always ask me about how I feel about polarization and stuff like that, like how are we ever gonna do anything ever again as a country? And you know, I tell them that it really starts in your own community, and I've found community here at Virginia Tech, but I know that a lot of the people I hang out with are just the same as me, and it's important to engage with people who are different from you, because at the end of the day, even if you're not a politician, even if you just work in an office, not that that's not important, but I couldn't find something in my head that's different from politician, but you're gonna encounter people who are different from you, and you're gonna have to work with them. And really the best way that we can move forward as a country is to remind ourselves of the humanity of the person sitting across from you, even if they're completely different. But we want to do that in a respectful way. So we give students the opportunity to talk about their opinions freely in a safe space. And all these discussions are moderated, so nobody is allowed to like say any really rude and heinous things without repercussion. But we do encourage students to speak freely about the things that they care about, and voice their opinions and work to understand the person across from them. So that's something that we've started doing this semester. So I also wanted to talk about what we're planning for the fall, and if any of you all are interested in helping organize or just getting involved in a really non-committal way, bless you, please feel free to reach out to me. But we host every year a series called Access to Activism for National Voter Registration Day, and this fall we're going to be doing it surrounding disability advocacy and design accessibility. So working with the College of Architecture to talk about the history of design accessibility and how we can improve physical accessibility at Virginia Tech. I don't know if you guys have noticed that as a problem, but it's definitely a problem here, and we want to raise awareness about it and also give students the tools to make change. Then the second one is we are going to do a documentary screening of Hungry to Learn, which is about food insecurity, specifically for college students. 1 in 3 grad students at Virginia Tech are facing food insecurity. So it's a huge issue at our university. And we'll also be hosting a food drive with The Market, which is run out of VT Engage by Cass. She's the best. She's really awesome. She works very hard, and we want to help her out. And then the third event is more of an educational one on how to fight these anti-LGBTQ+ laws that are popping up around the country. We don't want people to feel like they have no power and they have no voice. We want to teach them and show them the ways that they can make change. And that's really the goal of that. And then we'll be hosting a deliberative dialogue about free speech in collaborations with the Young Americans for Liberty. And then we're also working with the Virginia Department of Elections to host a voter registration training specifically for college students. So it'll be really interesting, and any organization or individual who's interested in conducting any type of voter registration is free to attend, and it's also just great.
In regard to the free speech,
Yeah.
Paulo Furman, did I say his name? At the board of the church, they were talking about free speech, and they were looking at adapting like Chicago rules or Chicago something, but looking at free speech on an administrative side and like on the faculty side. So I don't know if you knew about that or wanted to reach out to faculty, but Paulo would have it.
Yeah, thank you. They don't really tell me that much about anything, but that sounds really great. So I'll talk to Paolo. Yeah.
How does this work for out-of-state students?
In terms of like getting involved with the organization, or
In terms of like voter registration, and then in terms of like accessibility to submit ballots and information. So I know for me, like I'm an out-of-state kid from Maryland. And so like I wasn't sure about the process of how to, if I would have to like send it back home to my mom, if it could be mailed from here, like is there information?
yeah, so that's part of the voter registration training we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking like specifically about issues that out-of-state students face. But in terms of that, some out-of-state students choose to register in Montgomery County, and you're completely free to do that. But some students from states with more restrictive voting laws might hesitate to register to vote in Virginia because it could affect their ability to re-register if they choose to move back home or whenever they move back home. So it's really a personal choice, and I know there is a lot of uncertainty around that we try to face, but it's also really difficult because every state has different laws, and I can really only tell you about Virginia, but I can also tell you to go to vote411.org because they have information for every single state. So you'll be able to register for an absentee ballot if you want to vote by mail. And all the early voting dates are there if you want to drive back home to Maryland to vote. It's all there for you. So yeah, it's a big dedication to drive back home to vote, but I've heard of some students doing it. Anyways, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll keep going. So what can USS do? We have a lot of goals. We dream big at Hokies Vote Caucus, so I have a lot of things listed here, but I just wanted to let you guys know the ways that you all can help us make change and make voting more accessible here at Virginia Tech. Our first goal is to make Election Day a university holiday, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a university holiday because that's extremely difficult to do, but we also want to encourage professors to give extra credit to students for being a poll worker or canceling all assessments and essays and tests due on election day so students have the academic freedom to go and vote, and really anything that would just incentivize students to get to the polls is what we want to implement at Tech. And then we also want to incorporate voter registration and education into freshman orientation because the reason why a lot of college-age students are not turning out to vote is because they are in a really transitional point in their life, and voter registration is probably not the first thing on your mind when you're moving into a new dorm, meeting new people, trying college for the first time. It can be really difficult, so we hope to sort of get in the ground floor during orientation and register students to vote, and also give them the information on where to go if you need help, what Hokies Vote Caucus is, and also all the other resources we have on campus. Then the third point is just promoting voter education material and social media. Social media is difficult because of a lot of reasons, but we find that if we harass people enough, they'll actually listen to us. So that's sort of the hope for that point. And then also just sponsoring any civic engagement events that we do, especially the deliberative dialogues, would just help us reach more students, basically. And then we also want to incorporate civic engagement into learning outcomes of pathways courses. We don't want words like democracy and civility and civic and voting to be uncommon in the classroom. And we also don't want, professors to be afraid to encourage their students to speak their minds. And I think that has a lot to do with incorporating civic engagement into our actual learning structure here. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you guys for listening to me. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, word, sounds good. I just want to make sure that all of your goals.
Anybody wants to look at the minutes, if you look at the minutes, which you should, it'll be in there.
Look at the minutes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Maya. I appreciate it. We're going to move on to old business, and so we're just going to go over the budget one more time for its second reading and review. So, Sarah?
Don't be scared. I can't hurt you. All right. So we are back again with another budget TED Talk. This is the second reading, so this is the last time to make any possible suggested edits. If you find any clarifying questions, etc., before we vote at the end of this presentation, just to be forward. So why are we here? I'm going to give a brief of everything in the bylaws. We have to vote on a budget, so that's why we're here. Don't need to go through that. As you guys may have remember from 2 weeks ago, we get our budget from two places: Student Budget Board and Hokie Effect, which is an internal program that we put on. So right now, Student Budget Board makes up 7% of our funds. Hokie Effect makes up 93% of our funds right now. Shout out Hokie Effect for all their awesome work so far. Yeah. Basically, what is Student Budget Board? They're an auxiliary, standing committee of the Commission on Student Affairs, which is CSA. Awesome stuff there. So my committee, USS Appropriations, is becoming Student Budget Board. We're having a transition from outside of USS to inside of USS. We asked for $22,000 from Student Budget Board. That money is not guaranteed. We haven't heard if we have received all of that or not. We'll hear about that in the summer-ish. What is Hokie Effect? So I kind of touched on this a little bit. It's a USS program. They designed the basketball and the football spirit shirts that are sold in partnership with Athletics and Advancement. The amount of money that we get from them is determined by the sale of actual shirts, so that's why it's great if you guys plug the program, stir up some support on social media, follow the Hokie Effect Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. It's important. They don't just support the proceeds from the shirts, don't just support USS. They also support the Student Emergency Fund, which is the designated fund that they picked for this year, but it might be different depending on what the director and assistant director decide. And it also goes towards athletic initiatives for things like scholarships and stuff like that. Our big push for 2022 to 2023 is we're trying to figure out a major project to put the rest of the proceeds that we don't use into a project to impact campus. So that we'll know more about that later, but I just wanted to get your guys' minds going about possible ideas and stuff like that. We are not going to be talking about that today, so keep your lid on it, or whatever the thing is. Where's our money going for this new budget? So 18% of it comes from Student Budget Board for this proposed budget, and then 81% is going towards Hokie Effect funds and dispersed throughout the budget that way. Woohoo, Hokie Effect, again. So this is kind of the stuff that we asked for from Student Budget Board. I already talked about this. I'm not going to go into it because there's no need. But if anybody has a question, please let me know. This is now for like our actual budget from stuff that doesn't come from Student Budget Board. So I have it broken down into different categories. So these are the categories, and I will parse through them so that way you can see them. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm sorry this is quick, but I already went through this, so this is just a glance through. So before we talk about that, we're going to talk about the breakdown of funds, which kind of goes into the major project that I had touched on 2 seconds ago, actually. So right now, in the actual budget or account that we pull money for the budget from, we have $270,000. And that is a lot of money, and it's never going to be that much money ever again. And the reason we have so much in excess this year is because we had I don't even know what the best way to describe it is. We had a contract agreement with the bookstore, and basically in the past, we used to put forward $200,000 to purchase shirts as kind of like collateral. Like, we would purchase them, and then we would hope that people would purchase shirts, and then we would take that out of expenses from the revenue that we had received. So basically, sales of shirts minus that money, and then that's what we would have for a budget in the past. Now, the bookstore is actually purchasing the shirts. We just get the proceeds, which means we get less proceeds, obviously, but we still get a good amount of proceeds. If you have questions about that, let me know. I'm sorry that was a quick run through. But right now, we still have this excess amount of money. So what are we going to do with it? We have, after we've taken out the money for our budget, we have $171,000 that needs to be put somewhere or done something with. And this is where that major project money is going to go into. Like, we can figure out a major project to basically spend that money. Long story short, to keep the transparency. All right, so now going into the budget. So these are, I'm going to glance through them, give you 10 seconds for each one. If you find something that you want questions on, holler. Great. Ooh, where? Oh. Yes.
Does the campus subscription also include Adobe? I'm assuming no.
No, but there is a line item for Adobe later in this budget. All right, no further questions on this slide? Great, moving forward. I'm going to scoot kind of out of the way so you can see it. I don't know, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Can you guys see it, or should I move? Is that better? Any questions? No? Okay, I'm going to go forward. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Cough card, man. Awesome. All right, the next one. This is governmental relations and Hokie Effect. I'm sorry for the small font. If someone needs me to read it out for accessibility purposes, I 100% will. You just need to shout. I can't see.
Before going to the next slide, can you go back
Yes.
for 1 second?
I'll grab this.
Yeah, thank you. I just needed to make sure that's right.
Any questions? Sorry. All right, we'll keep going. We had just seen this one. Does anybody have any questions? Or keep going? I'm going to go with keep going. I can't see anything. All All right, the next one's issues and policy, membership development, and then at the bottom is fixed office expenses. As you'll see, Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. Any questions? Awesome. Wait, I'll give you guys an extra second. I feel like I'm going through this too fast. All right, now I'm gonna go. This is the last part of the budget. I would say probably, yeah, that's the last part of the budget. Any questions? Got some cool stuff. It can even be a question like, what is that? Like, what is that event? Or what is that line item? I'm trying to be accessible and teach you guys about budgets and stuff if you want to know. All good? You guys want to vote? Awesome! Woo! Okay, that is the end of my slideshow. I'm going to kick back to you, Caroline.
Goodness, she's so great. All right. Motion to enter voting procedure. Any second? Beautiful. Look at the friendship forming. Okay. All right. All those in favor, raise your hand. Let you count that. Or is it?
Unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous. All right, per. All those opposed? Those who abstain? Abstention? Yeah. Per. All right, so with... How many people do we have?
39.
Okay. So with 39 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions, our budget is approved. Per. I love it. Alrighty. Let's move on. Okay, so for this next part, I'm going to ask everybody to close their laptops, turn off your phones. I need your full attention for this. You're good. You can keep your laptop open. All right, so the way that we're going to do this is a little bit different than what we would normally do for Robert's Rules. Really want to have a conversation with you guys about this, and I don't want the fact that you got to look at the back of your name card to ask a question. So we're going to kind of throw that out the window for now and just stick to Parley Pro. So just like one at a time, just keep making sure that you announce your names and stuff. Yes, with a pause between first and last. Thank you, Jimmy. Alrighty, so this lovely resolution was sent to you guys over the weekend. How many of y'all read it? Oh, every hand should be up. I'll book it in. All right, good stuff, good stuff. So I know that some people that read it, there was still a little confusion. So really quickly, I'm just going to go over it just so that way we're all on the same page and we can kind of understand what exactly this document is saying. Alrighty, so what we're doing and what Cabinet and the advisors have been doing for a while now is trying to figure out the best way to hold elections. We wanted to hold spring elections, and so this is a transition from fall elections to spring elections. So let's see. I'll go through and just read it since it's short. So, whereas the Undergraduate Student Senate is a new university chartered student organization which was established in November 2021 after a fall semester election, and whereas the 2021-2022 USS Cabinet voted to transition from a fall election to a spring election beginning 2023, and whereas a 2022 fall semester special election must be held in order to fill the seats that will be left open by departing seniors and non-returning members, followed by a full 2023 spring election, thus the annual cycle of spring elections. And whereas the USS must hold a referendum to ask the undergraduate body to approve or deny the USS Plan, Appendix A, for the special election before the conclusion of the spring 2022 semester in order to allow USS to begin planning for the fall of 2022. And now therefore it be resolved that the undergraduate student senate will hold a referendum to obtain approval from the student body for the USS Fall 2022 special election plan. And be it further resolved that the referendum plan chosen will be available for review by the undergraduate body at large for 5 consecutive days before voting to allow them time to review the plan and ask questions. And lastly, be it resolved that following the approval of the chosen special election plan and signature of the USS President and 1 additional member of the USS Cabinet, it will be enacted for the 2022 special fall semester election. Okay, beautiful. So what that means is, so if you go down, yeah, there it is on it. So Appendix A, what this is talking about, past all the fancy words, is essentially saying that when time comes in 2022, or the fall, when the time comes for next semester for us to hold an election, what will happen essentially is that all cabinet positions will have to be chosen again. We'll all have to run again. However, if you, a senator, want to stay until the spring of 2023, you are more than welcome to. If you want to stay until, just throwing out a hypothetical date, October 21st, right? Let's say that that's when, inauguration is going to be. If you want to stay until then, you can have that option too. Or if you don't want to come back at all, right? That's essentially what Appendix A is referring to. Appendix B is that everybody in the room's got to rerun. Everybody's in the room's got to rerun this semester and next semester. Also, I will say that, I will say that for cabinet positions, there will be an election in the fall, and then there will also, those cabinet positions will join the spring election. Does that make sense? You're looking at me like you don't know what's going on.
So you're saying that you'll have to run in fall 2022 and then again in spring 2023, but from there on, it's only elections every spring?
Yes.
Her. He gets it. Yes. So when you say like we, in regard to that, it's just cabinet and new members that are coming in. So let's say hypothetically you're like, you know what? I got this. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to stay here until that first full spring election. You have the option to, and you don't have to run a campaign next semester. Any questions? Yeah. Yes, and so what's going to happen is we're going to, depending on, now if Appendix A gets picked, you're going to be sent a Google form. That Google form is so important. It'll be sent out in the Slack, and it'll also be sent out in an email as well. Essentially, it will be asking, just so that way we can get some type of an idea for, or not we, but the advisors have some type of an idea for how big the election is going to actually be. You're going to pick either I'm staying until the spring of 2023, I'm staying until the next inaugural date, which would be next semester, or I'm not coming back at all when the semester ends, which I don't do that because that's just really rude and that would hurt my feelings, so don't do that, but that option's going to be there. So one thing that's super important to note is that, all right, let's say hypothetically, Helen, you're going to come back for another year. Or you could potentially. But right here, right now, in this moment, you are like, I don't want to, I'm not doing it, it's not happening. You say, I'm not returning. Then, next semester, at the beginning of it, you're like, oh, God, I regret it. I miss Caroline so much, I regret it. And so you're like, I want to join again. If you choose to opt out, you have to rerun again for your position. So I want to make that very clear. I don't want this to be like I'm forcing you to stay because I want every single one of you to stay. But I do want to make it very clear that if you don't choose that you're coming back, you're going to have to run again. Another thing to point out for all of your friends who are not here, if you know anybody that's not here, like I said, this Google form will be sent out. However, if you do not fill it out, I'm taking that as you are not returning. So if you know somebody who just couldn't happen to be here tonight, or you know somebody that's really bad at filling out forms, but they really love USS, I really hate to see them go, and they can run again. But if you don't fill out the form, I'm taking that as you're not coming back. So I want to make that very clear and very apparent. Yeah. Oh, we'll do both. We'll do both for you. What's up?
For clarification, what's the day that like people are done if they're not filling out the form? Is that inauguration day or like when is that like effective?
Yes. So are you talking about when your current term ends? Is that what you're trying to
Or are you saying the Google form?
This current term.
Okay. Yeah, so my question is more of a point of clarification because when Caroline says like if you don't fill out the form, that's a sign that you're not coming back. So I'm like trying to clarify for everybody because if somebody doesn't fill that form out and they still have duties, say in August or September or October before inauguration, I don't want somebody to think that they don't have to show up because they didn't fill out the form when they're still technically representing a constituency because it's no longer effective after inauguration as opposed to the start of the semester. I hope that was clear. That was just
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I don't know if our assumption would be if you don't fill it out, period, you're just done. You're so done that you couldn't even fill out a form and let us know you're done. So we would assume you have an open seat that we would immediately put in the fall election to find somebody else to serve in your seat. Is that a fair assumption, Milan, Captain, of how we would interpret a non-response?
Yes. A non-response.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean they're free from their obligations before nomination? That's the other half of this question. Yes, that means that you've decided to not complete your term. So all of you, if you're not graduating, your term would be completed right now, tentatively October 19th, which is the slated inauguration for anyone who is elected in the fall 2022 cohort, if you will, anyone who runs in that election. At that point, if you chose, I finished my term, I did my due diligence, I'm not moving on, you would then be done as a senator within USS. If you want to continue beyond that point, that is the third option that Caroline laid out. But your current term, if you are not graduating, run until October 19th. If you do not see yourself as having the ability to fulfill that, then you would let us know that this is in fact your last meeting. Hopefully you'll still come to the celebration. But if you are deciding, I really like to, but I have these obstacles, we really hope you'll speak with Jawan or Ansley or a member of the team to see if we can't remove any of those barriers for you to keep you engaged with that physical. Is that fair consensus of what we discussed, Captain?
You knocked it out of the ballpark.
Per. Cabinet, everybody good with that? Yeah? Alrighty. You got it? All right. Yeah.
Regarding Appendix B, where it says run a fall election for all positions and references all senators, would that be any different for UCSO commissioners, for example, like the next associate president? Are they automatically the senator representing that UCSO, or is there a different process?
So the way that, to my understanding, the way that UCSOs pick their representative is up to them.
It is a self-selection within your UCSO. So if your documents say the president will serve in this capacity, that's one thing, or what happens is you just kind of some of the selection process within your organization. And if there's any questions, we can also work with you and your advisor to help clarify that. Because we know some advisors are still scratching their head a little bit too with this relationship, so we want to make sure everybody feels comfortable.
Yes. All right. Which one? Both of you guys? Molly?
My name is Mara Dinkler. I was wondering, so I was thinking about studying abroad in the spring of next year. So would that count as me not being able to fulfill my duties next spring?
That would not. So what we would recommend is finding some sort of a proxy. So somebody that can sit in for you during meetings, committee meetings, anything like that. But ultimately, like the roles that you would have, if you can fulfill them overseas, that's not, it's not a barrier that would hold you from that. But in regard to like personal and like physical attendance, just having somebody come in and sit for you. Because that's what y'all do, the accountability committee, that's what y'all did. Proxies. All right.
So since UCSO senators since that happens, those elections happen differently. And I guess my question would be, can a senator say, yes, I'm going to stay on until spring 2023, and then if they happen to become a UCSO senator, can they pass that rule?
right, Princess?
To double on her, say like our transition to the UCSO from like being a senator at large, would we then like find a proxy, or would we then like know like how does this normally work? Do we have to have
Tell me you're coming back and then send me an email. So this is me being like, hey, I was at large, but like LO and JK, now I'm going to be this and this. So I'm assuming you're talking about class of 25, maybe? Or whatever the CSO is, just send that to me in email so I have it correctly.
We can even, on the form that you have, Heather, have like a, let us know what's going on, because I know for architecture and that whole shebang, that's something that y'all are gonna work out tomorrow, so we'll get back with you guys on figuring out the specifics with that. But just having an option down there, so that way it's not like your email is getting flooded, but like we can see what's going on. Either or. Yeah?
And lastly, the last sentence of Appendix A where it talks about the selection process for our current assistant director positions, is that going to be discussed amongst us, or was it just happen that was done in December for this position kind of wanted to decide on?
So the way that directors were elected or appointed this time around was through a cabinet selection with advisors. It was not brought before the Senate because we really didn't have a Senate. So I don't know what that's supposed to look like for next year, but that's how it was done this year.
It will always be where director applications open up directly after elections, because say you run for a cabinet position and you don't win, but you really want to be in USS, you can then apply to be a director. The same will be the case if there are vacancies after the general election in terms of senator seats. And then in terms of the process, it'll always be an application process. So like elected in the sense that like you went through a process, but like appointed in the sense that like you didn't run an election.
I think he's asking if the director positions will be presented before the Senate in order for them to vote on it. Is that,
Technically, yes, it has to happen that way because they have to be confirmed through the Senate. So yes.
They can't hear you on the live when you answer questions. Yeah.
okay, did you have some?
I was just gonna say that the copy of the bylaw that I have says directors and assistant directors will be appointed via an interview selection committee and a vote by a full Senate.
Okay.
I don't know if it's changed since then, but that's
Per.
the language that's used here.
Like I said, this time around we didn't really have a Senate, so
Yeah.
look at Molly with the bylaws. I love it. All right. Mallory, God, I said Molly. I'm so sorry. It's been a day. I apologize. All right. Anybody have any questions? Does everybody understand what's happening? Yes. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah.
Hey Zachary, can I give this just because the live can't hear anything we're saying?
I guess, is there a reason why we're moving the general election to the spring semester rather than the fall semester?
Yeah, so that was something that was talked about amongst a lot of different people. We felt like the spring elections moved a lot smoother with the rest of the university. So one of the things about USS that's really cool is the way that our governance system is structured is that we are very much entangled with the university structure of their governance as well, and they have all of their stuff in the spring. And so it just became really confusing when you have all these other senates and councils doing their thing here, and then we're over here trying. It almost feels like we're playing catch up. So having the spring election is definitely something that should just have our entire community engaged with the university just a little bit more, just so that way we're all on the same page, along with UCSOs and other RSOs as well. A lot of people have their elections in the spring as well. Yeah. Oh.
I just wanted to add here, Ainsley Craig, VP for Issues and Policy. I wanted to add that we'll also kind of open up our opportunities for training and onboarding by moving to a spring election. So then when we get in the fall, everybody's ready. You know how to perform your jobs. We know how to perform our jobs to the best of our ability. So we will be able to send out training and onboarding modules or hold Zoom calls maybe in August or throughout the summer, we'll be able to send out that information in order to better prepare you for your roles so we can hit the ground running as soon as we get here in the fall and then work all the way through the spring.
Yeah, go for it.
Here, Dr. B. Yeah, thank you.
Mic check. I always wanted to do that. So there are a couple things. One, we lose a lot of time over the summer, and we need the summer to retreat, train, develop. But what we'll also do is we will incorporate what I'm calling a fall election for any vacancies that we have left after the spring. So this will allow our first year students to be also involved, and we think there'll be quite a few seats just because we have 96 seats to fill. So I think it's going to be a good balance. We'll have a normal election in the spring, and then whatever's vacant, we'll open it up to the first year students, and that will give us a good balance. So I think it's going to work out pretty well. Make sense? Somebody had their hand up. Oh, okay. What's your name? Thank you, Emma.
All right, who else wants the mic? Anybody have a question?
Do you guys understand how this works in regard to the referendum in the student body?
It is okay if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't, let us know. Ain't nothing more I'd love to talk about than that. Princess, what's up?
Sorry. We're going to get a better system, I promise.
I do have one point of clarification regarding the referendum. Are we allowed to advocate as senators or as people, like within our constituency, which part of the referendum we'd advocate for?
So the thing is that what we're voting tonight. So what we're going to vote on is either Appendix A or Appendix B. So the student body is not going to pick one of these two. We are. And so through that, whatever decision we make, or whatever decision you make, that then will be sent out to the student body for approval or not. Does that make sense?
Yes, and then my follow-up question would be, if in the unlikely case the student body does not pass the referendum which we chose upon, does that automatically mean the second would be the option, or then would we go about the process again?
It would not mean that the second option would be it. However, this is not my expertise.
My bad, Z's. I'm so sorry.
We would go through the process again in terms of like, at that point there could be new options for a referendum. Like we would essentially start from scratch. Highly unlikely though, I don't see that happening. But in the event that it did, as an educational moment, yes, we would theoretically have to create a new piece of legislation.
Perfect. I apologize. Curiosity.
No,
killed the cat.
no. Curiosity made the cat smarter. That's what I always say. Okay, so on all point, yes. Oh, and there's one more thing I want to say when he's done.
You probably want to make it clear that this is just for this year.
Yes.
So you want to make that clear?
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I understood the last question. The last question was, if this failed, we would come back to other options?
If the student body said no, what would we do then?
Okay, so let's play together for a minute.
Okay.
What are we asking the student body to do with this?
We are simply asking for their approval
To do what?
to let us have a special election for the senators in their positions.
Okay, so if that's what we're asking them, they say no. I think that means all the seats will have to be voted on again. That's what I think that means.
That would be the option, but yeah.
Yeah, because what we're doing is what we're saying to the students.
Are you good?
What we're saying to the students is, hey, we know the status quo is we are doing an election in the fall, but we're asking you permission this year not to do that.
Yeah.
So if you say yay, great. If you say no, we're just going to do an election in the fall. So
Yep.
easy.
And kind of going back to what you said, that this is only for this fall year. Outside of this, The only type of like fall election that we would have is unfilled seats at the end of the spring election,
Correct.
which a lot of other people do. Yeah.
Senator Emma Brown. Oh my goodness, I just forgot my question. Wow. Yikes. Here, just give me like 2
Yeah,
seconds.
you're good. I'm gonna,
I got it. There we go. Why would we put this forward to the student body when it's internal?
So what we want to do is we want to create this sense of transparency. Now, if this doesn't have to be sent out to the student body. It's not something that we have to do. However, one of the things that's our core values is this essence of transparency. And I also want you guys to understand that the things that happen in this room, the things that you guys vote on, and the things that you comprehend and understand, the student body gets affected by it to some extent. Now, whether they know, whether they care, that's up to them. However, what you're doing is specifically with this is you're just asking for their opinion and them to be in the knowledge of it. And if we get like 2 votes and they're both yes, then 100% we're good to go. But that's the reason behind it. Now, if you guys are like, we don't want this to go out to the student body, then have to go to the student body. But that was just the mindset behind it.
Is there a way for us to be transparent without putting it forward to a vote?
To the student body?
Yeah. I personally don't really view it as necessary. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things too with the referendum is, let's say we have 100 votes, and let's say we have 60, or let's say we have 49% yays and 51% no's, right? Technically, now I'm not saying we should do this, but technically the way that referendums work is that we just have to meet a certain percentage. So if we just wanted to say that if 40% of students say this is yes, then it passes. So it's just one of those things where, in my opinion, in the way that I see it, it's just us getting our name out there and things like that. But like I said, if everybody, agrees with Emma, or a majority of people think that this is something that shouldn't go out to the student body because it just shouldn't, then it doesn't have to.
I would just like to say as a follow-up, as long as that percentage for referendum is fairly low, I think that would be a good idea, actually. I would just be worried that like a mischievous bunch of students would perhaps throw off our...
You think we have a mischievous bunch of students out there?
Definitely not. No, not Hokies? No,
Not
never,
Hokies,
never.
not Hokies, not my Hokies. No, I got you. All right. Anybody, did you have a question? You sure? Okay, cool.
I do, just out of curiosity. If you guys will humor me really quickly, just out of a show of hands, how many of you would plan to return next year, or you're thinking about it? Oh, for real? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Cool. I love that. I love that so much. That's great. And I'm really happy to see that. All right, we got one up here.
Okay, my question was deemed needed to be asked. So how would the student body vote on whether or not they like our decision?
Yeah, so we make our decision, right? Y'all vote yay or nay. You pick appendix A or B. And then what happens is that there will be graphics. We're working on it. Graphics kind of explaining, what a referendum is and like what's going on. And essentially there'll be a link on Gobbler Connect, right? Yeah? Yep. Link on Gobbler Connect, same way that you voted. And that will be it'll be public. It'll be out there for the student body for 5 days. Do they have to do it? No. Are they encouraged? Sure. But that's essentially the essence for it, that there would be like a little bit of a marketing push behind it. Yeah. Ainsley, you're in heels. I'm in sneakers. I can run.
Will there be any emails sent out about this Gobbler Connect link?
Emails. We're working on it.
Social media. So we're going to do a social media blitz, including every UCSO that has a seat. We will need your help, as well as you as senators. There will also be A-frames. There will also be banners. We also hope to get a campus notice, but we feel like maybe you guys don't pay a lot of attention to campus notices, but maybe moms and dads and other family members do. So there's a whole comp plan that we're happy to share with you. But that's kind of the main.
It's almost like this is a thing for you to talk to your constituents about. Okay. All right.
Could we get like a Canvas announcement maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was actually about to say.
Scheduled weeks and weeks in advance, so love the ideas, and we're gonna keep putting them in, but this is a challenging campus, candidly, this is a challenging campus to market and communicate on.
That's kind of what I was.
We'll use every tool at our disposal that we have right now. With Canvas, is my understanding, we have like one a month, if that, for the whole division of student affairs. Cork is strictly for events, so people all just have to simply, we're gonna have a QR code. It'll be as simple as QR codes are making a comeback. We all know it. Simple QR code, scan. It's gonna take you right to where you vote. We're supposed to vote on just like it was a normal election.
All right. Mallory.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add to that by saying that I know for my major on Canvas, like the human development, they send out announcements to the human development students. And they seem to like mention things that are going on campus, like right now. And so maybe if you're a college senator, you could talk to your college dean about doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Absolutely. Infiltrate the system by getting in the system. There you go.
So I agree with Emma in that I mean, I know it won't apply to me, but I still don't really see why the students go to the student body, because I'm worried, like we've been talking about, how many people are actually going to participate in that. So like I think it would be fine if it was an internal decision. I don't think anybody would be really upset. So that's just my 2 cents.
Period.
Okay, hi, Jimmy Haggerty, Senator. Few things. Yes to Emma and Helen bringing up some really, really good points. Some clarification on the referendum. Are we binding is it a binding referendum? Because if it's a non-binding referendum, then we can issue the referendum and then choose to ignore it if something like we talk about, there can be a vocal minority that can hijack the referendum, and if that's true, we can just choose to ignore it. But Caroline kind of alluded to that we would be binding it to probably a really low percent. So do we have those details figured out yet?
I didn't mean to imply that that's what we would be doing. I was just giving an example, but it is non-binding.
Okay.
It really is just something for the student body to see.
Dr. B just brought this up. We could also vote on the referendum and then vote on whether or not we think it should be shared with the student body.
That's what I was
so
thinking.
just to kind of consolidate those concerns.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
Just second thing to what the amazing point Mallory said for just college senators, if we did try to, if we did move forward with sending this referendum to the student body, every single college has a single individual who works in an administrative office that is in charge of sending out the weekly email. And if college senators, you just connect with that one individual, they'd be happy to add it to the list. I've talked to mine all the time in Pamplin. She's really nice. All of them are really nice. So point of action, really easy. Just echoing what Mallory said.
And just going one step further with that, looking ahead to elections, if you guys do pick A and you have senator positions that are open within your college and you want more senators or you want people, whatever, same deal. Let your people know in the college what's going on so that way they can, yes. Alrighty?
I was just wondering, like, seems like we're kind of, I don't want to speak for everyone, but it seems like we're kind of leaning towards Appendix A. And in the event that that's what we vote on, do we want to potentially amend Appendix A to provide like a percentage for whether or not we take the referendum like really into account to see like what it actually stands for, like whether it's 51-49 or 2/3, or I think that might be useful to have a discussion about that and maybe amend the resolution.
Absolutely. And I think something to take into consideration too is kind of do what Ainsley had suggested in regard to looking at what do we want, first of all, and then two, do we want it to go to the student body? If the majority says no, we don't want to go to doesn't want it to go to the student body, then it absolutely needs to be amended. However, if we do say that we want to go to the student body, let's amend it to find a percentage that everybody agrees with. Does that sound okay? Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
I guess I have a question and another address to a question. And the question was like internal versus external election. Having been through the previous student government and how they went through an internal election, I have seen the backlash that has come from doing an internal election, and even though there might not have been a lot of participants in the external election, the fact that they were considered has been very important to them, and they value that greatly, especially like looking forward in the future, like what they would want to do, like because they don't think that was a good precedent to set, like internal elections. Now my other question is,
Oh, wait, hold on, really quickly, just a point of clarification. When you say internal elections, are you talking about the decision that that we would make for the appendix, or just the election in general for senators versus cabinet? I want to follow, and I'm just a little confused.
I don't think that it matters in this instance in terms of referendum versus election, just because, like, for example, the referendum, like, you're allowed to choose whether you want to, like, any, like, senator or UCSO can choose to stay and, like, extend their term, and that's, like, the difference between the two referendums. So, like, that would be up to the choice of us rather than the students get the choice to say, like, do we want you for the next semester?
So, all right, let me see if I can help clarify this really quick. What's going to happen is you guys are going to vote between A and B, and whatever you pick. So the students are not going to be looking at A and B and picking, oh, I think A would be best, B would be best. It's just that they're going to see the first one or the second one and say, I'm either in agreement or disagreement. But the students will not be determining your election term. You are.
So what was the part about the internal versus external? Which part would be internal?
Sharing the referendum out to students, or if the Senate majority picks B, or if the Senate majority picks A, then we just keep it at that, and it's not something that we need to send out to the student body. But it's not like an internal election. It's just a decision that we want to keep here. Without getting the opinion of students. We can share with them, but what the referendum does is gets their input.
Okay.
Just to be clear, if you choose B, there will be no referendum because there's no need. You're doing everything by the book.
And another quick question. Also, my name's Anthony Tran, if that was, okay. For example, if we have access to a listserv because we're on another UCSO or student org, do we have full say to just full send? But does that mean does that mean our org has to sponsor it also?
No.
Probably.
I would check with the president of your organization that has a listserv and just make sure it's okay with them.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope all you're doing is allowing undergraduate students to vote in something that has to do with sharing their voice. Like,
Yeah.
I would hope it's a fairly, like, happy thing. But, yeah, always check with your
Sweet.
But if Zachary, and if you pass to Kyle, and I'm gonna break.
I was just, that's what I was going to say. We should move on. We have like 14 minutes left.
Yep.
Senator Zachary Schmidt, I was just going to really quickly add, if we do decide to go with Appendix A and then we decide to keep this in an internal affair, so like if we decide Appendix A and then we all vote on it in here without getting the undergrad student input, then at that point we're kind of just saying we have the ability to pick to stay an extra half a term and then voting to just do that without really getting any outside input. So I just wanted to point out that I don't know how well that's really representing the undergrads if we do make that decision.
Got you. All right, Kyle.
I move to vote.
He motions to move into.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Look at you go. I love it. They said, shut up, Caroline. You've been talking too much. That's fair. That's fair. Kyle. All righty. All right. So, just for a point of clarification, this first vote will be for which appendix you would like. Okay? So we're only focusing on Appendix A and Appendix B. Now, before we vote, I'm going to say what each one is, just so that way everybody's on the same page. All right. So all in favor of Appendix A, which will essentially state that only cabinet members will have to run and senators may keep their positions along with directors and assistant directors. Oh, all right, Appendix B. Is to run a full fall election for all positions, followed by a spring election next spring semester in 2023, 2024. All right, all those in favor of Appendix A? All righty, all those opposed? We got 2. All right, any abstentions? All right, with 36 yays, 2 noes, and 0 abstentions, we are going to move forward with Appendix A. Now, second thing we're going to vote on. Do we want to send it to the student body? Okay? So, just one more time, if we send it to the student body, it will be non-binding, and it is just getting their input on what we're doing, okay? So, all those in favor to send it out to the student body? Wait, what? Oh, I can't just do it in one thing? Okay, time out, guys.
So that was, Dr. B, hi. That was something we talked about earlier when we were trying to clarify, when we're sending out the referendum and some members have a concern that because currently we have a low voter turnout in USS elections, that there could be a vocal minority that hijacks a referendum that kind of puts us off course in a way. So by establishing it as a non-binding referendum, that's kind of just a footnote just in case that something like that happens. But we're taking, in my view, from what we just discussed, the referendum, the point of that is to, one, show that we are taking in the voice of the students and are listening to what they have to say, and I think assessing that referendum will do so. And the next one was just having students participate in a referendum is a good thing. So that's, I think, what we were talking about with the whole non-binding aspect of it, that it's not like, the vote isn't like a solid vote. It's just a referendum that is non-binding. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would like to second that. And also, how would we know if the election was hijacked? Like, how would you know that some evil little Hokies corrupted your results and you know what I mean? Like, how would we really know? So I agree with James. If you're gonna ask, here's what I feel like it could feel like. I'm gonna ask you to do this thing, and then you want to do something else. I'm gonna say, screw you. I'm doing what I wanted anyway. I'm out of here. That's how it could be read. I also, like, it kind of makes, I mean, I get it, but it makes me a little bit sad that we don't feel like we can trust the undergraduate student. Like, you either kind of, and it's okay if you don't, but then I think you do need to think about, then why ask the question? Like, it's all, like, I feel like it's circular, but I just wanted to contribute. Like, I don't know how we would also know that, like, the election was corrupt, or not the election, I'm sorry, the vote was, like, corrupt, if you will.
That's a great concern. I will say for myself, I'm not an individual who has those concerns, so I can't speak on that specifically. With Dr. Bridgeforth, I can say, I think Ethan brought up a really good point with not having a referendum or deciding that amongst ourselves, I think could have the appearance of nefarious action. And I'm always of the opinion that if there is even an appearance of nefarious action, it's better to go in the other direction. So I think that's the point of the referendum, regardless of binding.
And I just want to say as well that even if the students say yes or no, if it's non-binding, we can follow the student's opinion. Like, that's what we are here for, yeah. But we have the flexibility to.
Could we then vote on if we want the referendum to be sent out via the students, and then do a secondary vote to see if there should be a percentage attached, and then, like, if the wording should be something along the lines of the students that do vote 40% or 50% yay, it goes through, and then, like, that dilutes the need for like all of this conversation about like if we should or shouldn't, and then we see like if we as the senators or we as the Senate really believe that that's something that we should do.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know if we have. Mhm.
I was going to say, I think that's a really bad idea to decide it post referendum. Like, that would definitely be kind of nefarious, especially if that was also internal. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Just yikes.
Yeah.
To clarify, I mean we move into voting procedure regarding if we want the referendum to be sent out, and then we do a secondary vote if it does pass that we want the referendum to be sent out, that a simple majority saying yes to the referendum means that it's instated, we're good, we're done, we send out the referendum.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Senator Jack Carroll is explaining to me what you just said.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that we move into voting procedure regarding if we want the referendum to be sent out or not, and then if we do vote as a Senate that we want the referendum to be sent out, we then do a second vote to see if the 50%, if we as a Senate want 50% of the people who vote to mean that the referendum goes through and this is what we've decided and this is what the students have decided or not.
Great, you meant tonight instead of
I meant
post.
tonight.
Sorry, thank you.
No, you're all good.
Okay, if we're going to be a democratically elected body, we're going to have to start actually listening to the student body. So whatever percentage, whatever amount of votes come out, I feel like we have to accept it based off of like the principles of this organization. And just like by saying that we can extend our terms, by just us saying that, that's like honestly an abuse of power, and that's not how a democratic society is supposed to operate. So I think that we should just send out the referendum regardless and accept whatever results may come.
Hi, my name is Thomas Bolton. I'm not in this. I just came to the meeting. So I'm like the student body, I guess. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You guys have been talking about this for like 30 minutes, and I get like hundreds of emails every day from places like on Virginia Tech and like around here about stuff like this. And like I feel like you can have the student body vote on whatever they want, but like I still don't completely understand what it is. And so I feel like if you're asking the student body to vote on something that, like, one, they might not care about, like, no offense, but also that they might not even understand. Like, I don't know. Like, I understand the transparency part of it, but I don't even know what's going on. And, like, I've only been here for, like, an hour and a half.
What's your name?
Thomas Bolton.
Thomas Bolton. Nice to meet you. I'm Caroline Lohr.
Hello.
All right, so really quick, you're right. We've been talking about this for a minute. I'm going to say one last thing. Does anybody else have anything to say before I say my final piece?
Yep, thank you.
Molly Coogan? Yeah.
Alrighty, so as far as the transparency goes, and since we have been talking about this for a while, if it's a non-binding thing, we could just do a social media blitz and like put stuff on Instagram like, hey, if you have any questions about it, we are here. But if none of this is actually going to mean anything, then we should just put ourselves out there, be transparent, but not put ourselves in a position to be like, why did we vote on this if it doesn't matter?
Absolutely. For sure. Period. All right. A lot of good things. Really quickly, going back to what you said, when we push this out for the student body, it won't be through a document. It'll be made a little bit more simpler without all of the fancy language because it is confusing. Is there a motion to vote? Binding? Okay. All right. Motion to vote for binding or non-binding. Any second? All right. Alrighty. So those who are in favor of having a binding referendum sent out to the student body, raise your hand. Good. 28. All right. Those who oppose? All right. Any abstentions? All right. With 28 yays, 4 noes, and 0 abstentions, it passes, so it will be binding. Is there a motion on the floor at this time? Beautiful. All right, is there a second? All right, cool. So now we're voting on whether Appendix A, in its glory of a graphic, will be sent out to the student body, right? All those in favor? Cool. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, with 28 yays, 4 nays, and 0 abstentions, it will be sent out to the student body. Oh, do I get to hit the gavel after each of these? And another. Beautiful. All right, cool. Cool, so since we didn't technically start until 6:39, right? We have until 8:09. Ha ha, you gotta stick with me a little bit more. Okay, cool. Well, one, I want to say congratulations on holding a fantastic discussion about this, being able to voice your opinions about something that is going to go out to the student body. And period, we have a plan for elections, tentatively. Cool. Yep, reports will be sent out by all cabinet directors and advisors. And now we are at public forum. Just a reminder, it's 2 minutes per speaker.
Hey everybody. All right, so in February of this year, the National Mental Health Association published an open letter to all colleges that because of the threat of war and terrorism looms as possible as ever, that young Americans and global citizens will respond poorly to these events and may suffer from anxiety and depression because of it. While this letter was written in light of the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine, we have to remember that we are the generation that grew up in a post-9/11 society and have more militaristic policies than the Cold War, and that even in Virginia Tech, especially in Virginia Tech, we are prone to school shootings more than ever. And so all this anxiety and depression starts to build up over a period of time, and it'll just enhance with the Ukrainian crisis. So, I mean, personally, as an international relations major, I find myself so overwhelmed having to learn in depth about all these policies and analyze these events for class. I'll admit I even respond poorly at times. I literally signed up to go to Poland this summer to work refugee camps at the border. And so, I mean, that was a very impulsive decision on my part, but I'm just going to still do it regardless. But anyways, the undergraduate student body needs resources to help them process and respond maturely to tragic events, especially in terms of war and armed conflict. As of right now, VT Cook Counseling offers little support groups and specialists to, what they do offer support groups and specialists to victims of racial hate crimes, prejudice against sexual orientation, and survivors of sexual assault, which is really good. However, these groups have been proven to be efficient and effective and necessary. So I'm proposing that Cook Counseling establish the same thing for people trying to have an outlet and therapeutic sessions when dealing with armed conflicts and how to process it. So I already wrote a bill. I'm getting ready to formally introduce it. I have a meeting with Cook Counseling later this week. The preliminary writing has been completed. If you guys, anyone wants to sponsor, that'd be great. So yeah, thank you.
Hi, Hi everyone, I'm Morgan. On a completely unrelated note, I currently serve on the Parking Ticket Appeals Committee. I want to emphasize first before I start, I do not work for Parking Services at all, and I'm graduating, so I need someone to take my spot because I represent the Undergraduate Student Senate. And basically what we do is when you get a parking ticket or when someone else gets a parking ticket, like they appeal it, and then if they appeal it again, then it comes to us, and there's an undergraduate representative, a graduate student representative, faculty representative, staff representative, some other people as well, but like basically we just provide a place for people to appeal their parking tickets, give their, spiel. If you have COVID and you get 2 parking tickets over break because you didn't go out to your car to see them because you're in isolation, that gives them a place to come, and we can dismiss those for them. And so I need someone to take my spot. Meetings are Fridays, 2 to 4 on the first Friday of every month, sometimes the third Friday of every month, but always on the first Friday of every month. And you just have to have a parking permit. So if anyone's interested, shoot me an email and I will get you in contact with the parking services person. So thank you.
I know, right? I'm getting old. Hey, everybody. I think I know some of you I do, some of you I don't. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Bridgeforth. I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs and Experience VT, and I also serve as a Senior Advisor. I'll be really quick. I just want to say how proud I am of you guys this evening. This was a very good meeting, and I know some folks are new and haven't seen this, but these are the kinds of conversations we need to have, and this was like an important conversation, but there'll be harder conversations, and I encourage you to really engage, think about the hard things that you think you want to change on campus, and have this kind of conversation. We don't worry so much about, the way you do it as much as we care about the leadership, what you do it in. So thank you for that. It's okay to challenge each other. This Student Senate project is truly an experiment. Heather, myself, and a student here, Thomas Miller, with a group of other folks dreamed this up in our head, and it is a beautiful experiment. This year was a test year. Next year will be very different in a better way where you'll have more support, you'll have more resources, but I want to thank you for being the guinea pigs out of the gate. You've done an amazing job. You've had a great cabinet, and if you haven't done it tonight, this being the last meeting, please stop by and thank them. They have put up with me all year, and I'm a pain in the butt, really. So I just want to tell you how proud I am of what just happened here and how you guys stood up for students, and you were able to disagree and still be good. That's important. So again, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your service, and I hope to get to know all of you and see you all again next year. Thanks.
Hey folks, just real quick, so the intent to return went live at 8 o'clock. It closes reading day at 11:59. It is at most 3.5 minutes of your time, so please fill it out. Even if you're like, I know I'm not coming back, first talk to me because I really hope that there's something that I can do to make you come back or incentivize you to come back because we love you being here. And if you make the decision to not return, I respect that. Also, just please be sure to indicate that on the form so I know how many seats are going to be open. The second thing is, yes. It closes at 11:59 on reading day. Yeah, and it just opened, so theoretically you could do it walking out. And then the last thing is I will create like a short email of explaining what the referendum kind of looks like. So if you all want to send it out to any listservs, you have the same consistent language. When information is sent out about the referendum, letting you know that it is up, that will be included in there. If you have any questions about any of that, just let me know. It is on Gobbler Connect, so if you go onto the USS page, it should be on the Explore feature forms. You should see it. If not, it is entitled 2022-2023 USS Intent to Return Form, so pretty simple. If you are not on the Gobbler Connect and you are a newer senator, or if for some other reason you haven't been on there, please contact Meredith so we can get you onto the Gobbler Connect so you can do the Intent to Return. This concludes my TED Talk. Y'all are great.
Hi, everyone. I'll make this quick. The Board of Visitors couldn't decide upon our tuition fees at their most recent April meeting because the state budget had not been finalized yet. Now the state budget is finalized, so the Board of Visitors will be meeting in special session this Saturday at 8 a.m. I have to wake up. To decide our tuition and fees. The time for public comment has already passed. I informed you all about it. That's so long ago. But so this is more of just a keep an eye out because they're setting our tuition this Saturday. So you'll hear about it soon. Ask me after Saturday. Yes, it's still open public session, but you're just going to sit there and can't talk, and it's at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. So, but you can come. It's at the end, 8 a.m. Cool. You talk to me? Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. All righty, guys. So, we're at adjournment. Alrighty, let's go through this again. We had the adoption of the agenda, the adoption of previous minutes. We had a guest. Yeah. Oh, is it a motion to go to the agenda? Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. A motion to adjourn, period. Any second? There you go. Yeah. Hey, really quickly, if you're a senior, can you stand up? It's our last meeting. My heart and soul as you guys have it. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Hey, Cabinet, just real quick, I forgot to mention in our report because I had to leave early. The voting software is shit.